Hello, this is Kim with Crochet with Kim. I'm so excited to be with you today. Today is Valentine's Day. I am celebrating my 12th wedding anniversary today. And also, the Kansas City Chiefs are having a parade at this time, so it's a lot going on. But I wanted to share this new pattern that I discovered. I have not seen this before, so I'm not going to say that it's not out here, but I have not seen it personally, and I thought I would share it with you. It's like a cross stitch and a cluster combined. It's really kind of hard to see. I was trying to find that perfect material, but we do have the crisscross stitches, which are right in here. If you can see it, I'm trying to make it where it's visible, but it's right in here. And then we have our cluster stitch, which is here, and then our double crochet as well. And this particular yarn is from Lion Brand Mandala, and this color is ton or tune, I'm sorry, with the Lion Brand. And I just had this yarn left because I had made a scarf or something out of this material, and it's just absolutely beautiful yarn to work with. It's harder to see, and I tried it again with the intertwine of yarn. Again, the crisscross. So hopefully I will be more successful as far as being able to actually see this particular pattern in the white. I am using a metallic white. I love this yarn. Hobby Lobby is one of my favorite stores, but I know that at some point I will have to venture out, because it used to be a time I will only shop at Walmart to get my yarn, and then I changed over to Hobby Lobby. I have picked up some yarn from Michael's and Joann's, but sometimes they're so far and few in between. The travel time is what really one of the times or reasons why I don't, but I can always go online, and hopefully I'll be able to find some different type of yarns that I can try my luck with. But today we're going to use this metallic white to do this particular pattern. I hope that you enjoy it. I have a H8 5mm hook. I do have my scissors and my craft needle to sew in whatever strings that I have left. And the pattern is calling for, and I'm hoping that you enjoyed this, because definitely I had a blast with it once I figured out how to work the stitches. So we're going to start with a multiple of 3 plus 1. And we want to try to make sure that we make this starting chain not too loose, but not too tight. Let's just see what I come up with. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. So I'm going to stop at 30. That's a pretty good length. And then I'm going to plus 1. So they have a multiple of 3 plus 1. We are going to put 3 double crochets in the 5th chain from the hook. So we'll start here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is number 5. And we're going to put 3 double crochets into this 5th chain from the hook. And there's my first one, here's number 2, and here is number 3. Now we're going to skip 2 chains. So this is the first one. It looks kind of wonky because of that pull, but this is 1, this is 2, and in that 3rd chain we're going to put 3 more double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to skip 2, 1, 2, and into the 3rd. So we do not put any chains, like a chain 1 or anything of that nature. We just go directly into that 3rd chain, and my yarn keeps breaking up for me. 3rd chain from the last group of double crochet. So no chaining. And then we'll count 1, 2, and then this 3rd one right here. And that is the repeat for this row. And then 1, 2, 3, then that 3rd chain. 1, 2, and 3, and then 1, 2, and then that 3rd one. And 3. And 1 and 2, 3. Pull out some more yarn here. One and 2, and then that 3rd one. And 3, and at the end of this row you should have 2 stitches left. So here's my first one right there, and here's my second one, and you just put 1 double crochet. And that will end row 1. So now, if you are making it longer or shorter, it's the same pattern. If you want to make a blanket or a scarf or what have you, same difference with that multiple of 3 plus 1, and then double crochet starting with the 5th chain. Count 2 spaces in the 3rd, put 3 double crochet, count 2 spaces until the end. You should have 2 spaces at the end of the row, and you double crochet in the very end. Now row 2, we chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. Let's turn our work. Now we are going to skip this first double crochet. We're going to skip this second double crochet, and into this third double crochet we're going to put a double crochet. Now we're going to chain one. We'll wrap our work and we're going to go behind that double crochet into the very first double crochet stitch on the top of that double crochet, and then there we go. So that is what we're going to do. That is the crisscross or the X stitch in which they call it. Now we are going to wrap the yarn over again. We're going to skip 1, 2, in that third one a double crochet. No chain one in between there. Chain one here, wrap our work. We'll go behind the stitch and into that very first double crochet. We're going to put a double crochet. It was tricky. Trust me, it was tricky. I was a little frustrated with it, but I worked with it until I figured it out. First, we skip that first double crochet, we skip the second double crochet, into that third double crochet, we work a double crochet. Chain one, yarn over, we skip that first and second one, we'll go back to that first one, go behind the double crochet, and then we'll work. Then we'll skip the first one, skip the second one, into the third one, double crochet. Chain one, yarn over, go behind that double crochet into the very first double crochet and double crochet. And so we're seeing that crisscross effect. Skip the first double crochet, skip that second one, right into that third one. And this is the pattern all the way across. Chain one, go behind the double crochet into that very first double crochet that we skipped, and there we go. Skip, skip, skip into this one, chain one, and then behind the double crochet, and in that very first skipped double crochet we work that cross stitch. Skip, 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 double crochet, chain one, and behind, go to that very first double crochet that we skipped, and there we go. We'll do that all the way across. Chain one, in that very first double crochet, then we will do our last cluster, skip, 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 in the very top of that double crochet, chain one, back into that first double crochet, and then in the very top of our turning shape, double crochet. There we go. Now that is how our work looked at the end of end of row 2. I wanted to make sure that it is clear enough. And if I need to adjust the lighting a little bit, because I don't want it to be too bright for you. All right, I was playing with my lights a little bit, just make sure that it's not too bright, but I'm hoping that you're able to see that that crisscross effect. It is very, very pretty. And now we're going to get ready to begin with our third row. So we'll chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Turn our work, and this counts as a double crochet in the chain 1. We will skip the very first double crochet, and then we will skip the next 2 double crochets. No, I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong one. Skip the first double crochet and then work a 3 double crochet cluster across the stitches. So we're going to skip this right here where we have the chain 4, and we're going to go right into this. And this had flustered me in the beginning, and I said, you know, I'm just going to do it this way, and it seemed to work out perfectly. So we're going to go into that very first stitch, go in between the cross or the cross stitch, and then we are going to go into this next stitch right here. This is our first cluster, and go through all 4. So let me do that again. We will chain 2 in between these. We'll go into this very first one, yarn over, pull through 2, and stop. We will go in the center of that cross, yarn over, pull through 2, and stop. Then we're going to go right here into this stitch, pull through 2, and stop, and then we'll pull through all 4. That is our cluster stitch. Let's try this again. We will go right into, we do not chain anything in between these clusters, only when we completed the cluster. Pull through 2, yarn over, go through the center, pull through 2, and through this last stitch right here, and pull through 2, then pull through all 4 and chain 2. Then we will do this again. The first double crochet, pull through 2 and stop through the center of the cross stitch, pull through 2, stop, and then into this last one and pull through all 4. And that is what our cluster stitch is beginning. So we'll see the crisscross here as it stands up a little, and then we will do our clusters right on top of that. Chain 2, pull through, stop there, go through the center, pull through, stop there, and then pull through, and stop there, and then pull through all 4. Chain 2, stop, pull through, stop, and pull through again, and stop, and we'll pull through all 4. And this makes for a very, very pretty pattern. And then there and pull through the last two here and all four. And we'll do this all across this row. Pull through all four, two, and then one, two, and three. And then we just chain one here. We'll just chain one. The only thing that bothers me that I have not quite mastered is that little opening on the side, but I think it's okay because it balances. It's on both sides. It's not just the one side or the other. But this is the completion of row 3. Now we're going to do our crisscross stitch again. So we'll chain 3. This is row 4. We'll chain 3. And again, we will skip, but now that we have a cluster, we will have to see how this works. And this was tricky for me. I will go right over on the side of the cluster, right here. And then chain 1. And right here on this side of the cluster, I worked my crisscross stitch. In this beginning part of it, it's kind of tricky. So let me show you again. There is and then we'll chain 1 here. We will chain 1. And then we will go right. It's like there is this opening right here. And then there is the opening right on this side. The cluster is technically in the center. We'll go over here, pull through all 3, chain 1. Oh, and you know what? The chain 1 is in the center. I'm sorry. So we'll do that. Chain 1. And then we'll go back on behind that double crochet into that very first loop. And there we go. So there is that crisscross stitch. We do not chain 1 here. That was my error. So we'll skip here. We'll skip the top. We don't go nowhere into the cluster. We will just skip right over to this side of the cluster. So we'll have that 1, chain 1, go in behind the work and back into that stitch before the cluster. And there we are again, behind the cluster. Chain 1, and then on the front side of the cluster. Skip right over here, behind the cluster. Chain 1, and then in front of that cluster. We'll do that all the way across to the end to there, then back and front. And it's a little tedious, but once you get the rhythm of it, you'll be okay. It's just that the first time, especially if it's the first time you've ever completed anything like this with a crisscross, it is going to be kind of addictive not to stop, because it's like, I'm not going to allow this to defeat me. I'm stubborn like that. And then go in behind that double crochet right into the front stitch of that cluster. And then we have one more behind the cluster and in front of the cluster. And then we will go do a double crochet in the very top of that chain and chain, and there we are. That is row 4. So it will be 2 and 4 will be the crisscross or the cross stitch, and then 3 and 5 are the double crochet, either the cluster or just regular double crochet in a stitch. So we're going to go ahead to row 5, and so we'll count out 1, 2, 3, and now we are double crocheting in each one chain space. That was a little tricky for me as well, because I'm like, okay, the one chain space. The only conclusion that I had was to go right into the center of the cross, or the X, at the X stitch. So we will put 3 in there. Oops, I didn't finish that. There we go. And then we'll go directly over, no chain spaces in between. We just go directly over. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. And we will do this right in the center of the X stitch. And 3, 1, 2, and 3. And that is the pattern. And we will repeat rows 2 through 5. And I will go through that sequence with you. And right in the center there. Go. We'll have there one more. And we will put a double crochet at the top of that chain 3, or All right, and then we will chain 3, and this is how it's coming together. It is very pretty. This will make for a beautiful, beautiful scarf. Beautiful scarf. And that and have that metallic look. Very pretty. So I will do row 2, I'm sorry, row 2 with you. And again, we will skip, and go right into that 3rd. Chain 1, go behind into that very first double crochet that we skipped, and it's just a repeat. Skip, skip. We do not chain anything in between that cross stitch or the X stitch. Only in between the X stitch. So we will have 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1. Go behind that double crochet into that very first double crochet. 1, 2, 3, skipped over into that 3rd one. Chain 1. And double crochet. 1, 2, 3. Chain 1. And there we go. And that is got into my second one. Didn't skip far enough. 1, 2, 3. There we go. To the 3rd one. Chain 1. And back to that 1st one. Chain 1. And chain 1. And that is coming to the completion of row 2. Uh-oh. 1, 2, 3. There we go. And we're at the end of this row. Technically this will be row 6, but we're just repeating row 2 over. Isn't that pretty? Oh my. I like that. I like that stitch, and I'm hoping that you're enjoying it as well. Okay, let's go ahead and I'll do row 3 with you. So we count up 4 stitches, and then we will skip the first double crochet, work 3 double crochet clusters. So we're skipping. They're saying skip the first double crochet, which I'm thinking that they're including that chain 1. It's like chain through 4 is 3, which is a double crochet plus 1. But I'm going to start in the center, no, not the center, in this first stitch right here. Pull up through 2, yarn over, go through the center of the X stitch, and then the last I'm so sorry about that. All right, and we'll continue on here. We'll chain 2, and then we'll go into this very first double crochet, this center, and this third stitch, and go through all 4, chain 2, that very first double crochet, the center of the X, and then this last double crochet, and pull through all 4, chain 2, and this would make a very beautiful pattern for anything. I am so sorry. I guess it's something that they're calling. I don't even know who it is, but I'm just going to have to ignore it for right now. And then chain 2. And then top of there. Top or in the middle of that X. And then the last stitch and pull through all 4. And then go to the next, center, and the third one, pull through all 4, chain 2, and you see it is so very, very pretty, beautiful pattern. We'll go through that first, through that second, and through to that third, and pull through all 4, chain 2, first, second, and third, and then we'll chain 2, and we'll do our last 3. This is our last cluster. And then double crochet into the very last or the beginning of that row's ending double crochet. Okay, look at that. It's coming along quite nicely. Now I will go ahead and do row 4 with you. And we will chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And this is again our crisscross stitch. And we will go in the very end of the cluster, chain 1, and the very beginning of that cluster. And then we'll go right over here, the very end of that cluster, chain 1, and the very beginning of that cluster. And that is technically the pattern. I had to kind of make adjustments because when I was reading it, it was like, this does not make any sense. So I kind of had to, you know, kind of fool around with it for a minute. But when I got it, I was like, okay, this looks much better than what they were trying to explain it. Sometimes you have to kind of do your own guess work in how to make the pattern work. Some patterns are pretty clear, and then there are those that I didn't quite get that. So as we continue on, the last chain one, and then the first. The last stitch, chain one, and then the first. And we will have last, chain one, and then the first. Then chain one, and then the first. And then we will put our last double crochet in the top of the chain, and we will chain 3, and then we'll go ahead and do row 5 together. Very pretty, very, very pretty. And then 5, we're going right in the middle of the X stitch, putting 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Then come over here. 1. We do not put any chain stitches or anything in between. We just go ahead and put 3 double crochets in the middle of the X. 1, 2, and 3. This is 2. This is 3. 1, 2, and 3. 2 and 3, and 3, and then right in the middle, because it stacks, it makes it more uniform to me. 1, 2, and 3, and then 1, 2, and 3. And we will go ahead and double crochet in our beginning chain 3, and there we are. Very pretty. Very, very pretty. So I hope that you enjoyed this as much as I have enjoyed working this with you. Again, we will start with a chain of 3 plus 1, a chain of 3, a multiple of 3 plus 1. Row 1 is the double crochet to create the actual double crochet stitches to incorporate our crisscross stitches in row 2. Then in row 3 we will also create the cluster. Row 4 would be the crisscross stitch, and then row 5 is the double crochets again. So it's basically repeating row 2 actually, or no, actually row one. I'm sorry, row one. And then row two is your crisscross. 3 is your cluster. 4 is your crisscross. And then 5 is your double crochet together, which is actually repeating row 2 or row 1 all over again. They just call it 2 through 5 instead of 1 through 4. But anyway, I am hoping that you enjoyed this. I hope that you create beautiful things with this. It is so much that you can do with this pattern. I wish you the greatest and wonderful, happiest Valentine's Day. And until next time, have a wonderful day. This is Crochet with Kim.